Hi, John. How are you?
Hey Alexis, how you doing? I've been seeing the chat. This is an amazingly active community already. I'm stoked to get into it.
Yeah, chat is lit, and that is one thing I always promise our summit speakers is the chat is incredibly engaged. They're hanging on every single word. I'm so excited to meet you for the first time virtually right now. I've been a fan of your work for the last 2 years, and I've loved your interview style, your journey from being on Instagram and YouTube to now being a full-time creator. I know you're going to walk us through it today. I want to hand you the mic, but just wanted to extend a very warm welcome and thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Alexis. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. And now I always tell people, now that I'm on the other side as a creator, no longer at Instagram and YouTube, the muzzle is off. I'm excited to just speak without a filter and just help everyone in the audience here. How many folks do we have in the chat? This 860. My God, I want to give you guys.
We're bouncing between 800 to 1,000 the last hour. So yeah, we've got loads of people live, global audience, people from all over the world, and they're excited to hear from you. So do you have slides to share?
I do, of course. I am. Okay. I am all about the slides, and to me, for everyone in the audience here, my goal with these presentations, after being on the other side, being in your shoes, is to make my slides as screenshotable as possible. So if you guys are going through it and you're going to see templates and all that, feel free to take a screenshot. I'll give you guys a link to get all this afterwards as well. Getting into the tactical stuff is what I really love. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let me know if you see this and I'll go full screen. Maybe give me a quick just temperature check. If you see the slides, I'll go full screen. And I'll also maybe just drop in. I'm curious, just to get from this audience, type in the words main hustle or side hustle. If you guys are doing content creation as your main hustle right now, or if it's your side hustle. Because I feel I can uniquely speak to both in the journey from one to the other, which is what I want to talk to you guys about here, and de-risking it. Trust me, I'll tell you guys all about my journey and how I think I took a lot of calculated steps before coming here. Okay, so we have oh, thank you, Elisa. Already John, thank you. Samuel, what's up? Estonia, what's up, guys? Side hustle, main hustle. Okay, cool. So we got a lot of different folks. I don't see the chat anymore now that it's on the full screen, but let me know if you guys see this on full. And if you specifically see me moving to the next slide here, maybe just give me a quick thumbs up. Do you see the slide creator product marketing? Let me just go off full screen for a second, just to make sure.
Except it's.
Alexis, can you let me know? Was it full screen for a second? Did it show?
No, for some reason there's a side. There's the right side menu bar of the slide.
Oh, let me see.
If you can cut, there we go. Now I can see the whole slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. So like Alexis said, and a little bit about my journey for those who follow my YouTube channel is for 5 years I worked inside YouTube and helped build their creator product marketing team, which is just a fancy way of saying launching a lot of the products that you guys use today. And then for 3 years I was recruited to join Instagram to help grow their creator team. And believe me, during my 8 years, I've seen just about every video, every myth, everything about the algorithm. And at some point, working with creators during your days, you begin to spend your nights and weekends wondering, wait, maybe I should do this, and maybe I should debunk some of these myths. And now that I'm on the outside and we've been able to grow quite a bit, in the past 3 years alone, been able to interview everyone from Mr. Beast to Logan Paul, to have a lot of explainer videos about how to grow on YouTube and social media, how to build a business around it. I think we've really fast tracked a lot of things, and I've certainly made mistakes, but I think there's a lot of things that I've avoided because of the way I approached it. And I remember specifically in 2001, I wanted to share this somewhat embarrassing video with you guys when I had just quit my job. I had just a tiny bit of traction on YouTube, and I wanted to remember this moment of how just, I guess, stressed and exhausted and how uncertain the times were versus where we're at today, because I've been in your shoes and I know what you're feeling, especially given the macroeconomic conditions of trying to make money and sustain a family as a creator. So here's a video, vlog style, from a few years ago when I just quit my job. I just want to remember this moment where the bags under my eyes are as big as my suitcase that I brought to Vid Summit in my hotel room. My voice is lost. I only have 10,000 subscribers right now on YouTube. And I hope by this time next year at the next Vid Summit, I'll be at
at least 100,000. And I don't know. We'll see.
By the way, did the audio play for that for you guys?
It was perfect.
It's perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you could see like that was like day one, basically. And oh my God, I was like, oh my God, everyone's talking about the space is saturated. There's so crowded. And I think what that really means is that there's a ton of crap out there and there's a ton of low quality, but if you could like enter the space, and we're going to go through 7 tactical tips to do that in a way that you could bring high quality to your audience. You could go from like that video I recorded, I had about 10,000 subscribers. Today, I'm proud to say we have over 600,000 subscribers. And more than that, we're doing it across long form, like videos that have over 3 million views. We're doing it across short form, like videos that have over 40 million views. And we've been able to have partnerships from everyone from Walmart to Spotify to YouTube to Opus Clip, a ton of like different partners. And more than anything, like somehow do this as my wife, who is also my business partner and the COO of our studio and our team, and I try to raise a 1-year-old now and have a baby and have a little doggo as well. So the fact that somehow this is working and we've been able to figure out a lot makes me even more passionate about paying all of this forward. So to dive into it, like the big question I always get asked, like what happened? What did you do? And I want to be very clear right off the bat that you guys have probably seen a lot of presentations where people have said, oh, be consistent, be original, be authentic. And I think if you're here at the Creator Path Summit and if you're part of the Circle community, like you already know all that stuff, like that's the 101. And my goal with this presentation with you guys and in the Q&A, which I want to leave some time for, I want to get into the 201, the 301, like the really advanced stuff that I think you guys could benefit from. So by the end of this talk, like I want to give 7 tips, super tactical. I want to give 2 freebies, like kind of tools that I've used that I also want to give for free, like templates, and then 1 Q&A. So you guys get a lot of value out of this. So let's dive right in and talk about the first tactic that I think a lot of people miss, which is to pass the key visual test. The key visual test is kind of this test and answer to the question of like, well, should I post something? And is this idea a good enough post for a YouTube video, for a TikTok reel or short, or is it better for a LinkedIn or email newsletter, right? And I think a lot of people make the wrong bet. They say like, oh, I think this idea is going to be really good for a long form video. No, it's really meant to be a text post. Or I think it's going to be a good text post, or it wasn't meant to be a good idea at all for social media. And there's certain things that you could vet and test for its virality before it comes out. And thank you, Alma, for the beautiful comment about the family. That's all my wife. And my baby is definitely has all my wife's genes, which I'm very thankful for. But for this tip, like it's really like also known as the napkin test. And what I want to talk about is this. I think too many creators make videos that should be articles, period. And this reminds me of an interview and something that was said during a discussion I had with Cleo Abram, who is one of the fastest growing creators on YouTube and a former Vox journalist, where she talked about how she decides when an idea is good enough to greenlight for a long form or a short form video versus discarding it and trying to chase something else. And I think too many people don't think about this. So let me go ahead and play this.
Good video story to me is like, you know what a good video is if you and I sat down for coffee and I was telling you a story about something interesting, and the moment when I need to pull out like a napkin and draw a diagram or show you something on my phone and pause it and be like, you see this? Like, that's a good video. Otherwise, it should just be an essay because that's much easier to write.
So to put that more clearly, I think the key visual test is this. What's her name? Kessler, that's Cleo Abram. Let me just type it here for the chat. So Cleo Abram, and you can see I have a full like 50-minute interview on my channel with her if you want to dive deeper. That's just an excerpt. But the key visual test is this. So imagine you're explaining a content idea to a friend, right? Did you do any of these 3 things? Did you, 1, draw anything on a napkin to prove your point? Did you, 2, pull out your phone to show them a photo? Or did you, 3, repeat words like this or that to point to anything while explaining? And so like I find that not enough people think about that. And to give a very tangible example of that is like, if it's yes to any of these questions, like you have a key visual and you can make a YouTube video. If not, it's probably better this idea as a post or LinkedIn, as an X post or LinkedIn post. And the example of it is this. So I was interviewing another like creator and former Vox journalist named Johnny Harris. And he talked about him, like he used key visuals as well. It's kind of like a ethos of like being a Vox journalist. And now Vox has produced a lot of the biggest and fastest growing YouTubers. So Johnny was talking about how he wanted to talk about, you know, inflation in Venezuela. And there's two ways to approach it. One would be like how typical news and how a lot of people approach, which is like inflation in Venezuela is high and list all these stats. Or two, he found these key visuals, and in this case, he actually flew there and filmed this, but you don't have to do that. I'll explain to you how you can do this without traveling further away than your laptop and your camera. But he talked about how when he went to Venezuela, he saw people taking the local currency and making sidewalk origami out of it, like these purses and these swans, which is such an immediate punch in the gut of like, oh my God, look how like devalued this currency has become, that it has essentially become a form of decor. Like, can you imagine like if dollar bills were not being used for like exchange and commerce, but rather for decor? Like that would immediately tell you something that, yes, you could then substantiate and bring in stats afterwards, like a lot of the other news and reporters do. But if we don't have that key visual, it all starts to fall apart, and you don't have that hook. So that's just like a prime example of it. And you know, I've started to think about this after my interviews with Johnny and Cleo. I was like, wait, I'm doing a lot of interviews. I'm doing a lot of explainers. Do my videos have enough key visuals in them or anchor visuals in them? And thank you, yeah, Jocelyn, for sharing that the link to the video. That's the link to the full interview with Cleo. But with this interview that I have a video queued up, I went to Toronto because I wanted to tell the story of STEM and engineering and how so many people are learning about that on YouTube, right? But I knew I needed like a very stunning key visual or something that would grab people's attention. So I found this amazing creator who's named The Hacksmith, and he uses like engineering and all of his like STEM background to make like lightsabers, Marvel, like different like devices from Marvel movies. And he's built one of the fastest growing engineering channels on YouTube. So I want to play this video. And this ended up being one of our best performing because it's that combination of entertainment and education with key visuals. We're here with a real life Iron Man.
Hey, John.
So how much does a place like this cost?
That was about $5 million.
And you built this all from money you made on YouTube?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I kind of like being called a crazy engineer. That could potentially kill you.
Does any part of you think your life is in danger?
It's my job to amp up the danger.
Oh, nice!
I came up with what I call the 6 tenets of a good video. We doubled in every metric: revenue, employees, subscribers.
What is this, man?
The world's largest Thor hammer. We thought it would look good in a YouTube thumbnail.
Has the U.S. military ever reached that?
It's been like 7 years now, so I think.
Anyways, so you get the point, but a ton of key visuals like right away, and like immediately like, people are hooked, and I'll talk about like other ways to like tee up your intro as well. But again, key visual, entertainment, education. A lot of people just think about the latter. And another thing that I thought was really interesting is that the creators who really think about key visuals the best are the education creators. So I was like thinking about this group in particular with like, how do you go from corporate to creator and how do you de-risk that? Because a lot of educational creators on YouTube have done just that. You know, if you look at their backgrounds, they had a corporate job for a while before doing this thing full time, like myself. And I thought it'd be really interesting to do a 10-year study, a 10-year look back on like a lot of the education creators and compare them to entertainment creators. And I don't know if anybody remembers this video back in the day. It was called YouTube Rewind. And we did it when I was there. It was essentially this look back video where at the end of the year, we would curate and select the 100 best top creators on the platform, put them in a big music video, put them in an end of year campaign, and kind of celebrate the best of YouTube. And so I worked on YouTube Rewind 2014. And last year I had this thought where I was like, wait, where are all those creators today? And where have their careers gone? And what happened to their views? And I wanted to share this stat and this graph, which I'm hoping to put out in a video, but I want to share with you guys first. But essentially, it shows what happened to the viewership of educational creators, like a lot of the folks here and as part of the summit, versus pure entertainment creators, like vloggers, lifestyle, like etc. Because I think one, like, definitely had more sustainability, even though over 10 years, all of them had, you know, a fluctuation in views. So check this out. So educators over the years had a dip, then a rise. And this is like the aggregate of like the 50 plus creators who were educators from 2014, who were the best of, versus the entertainers. Entertainers on a whole had a 92% dip in their views. And it was much harder for them to sustain, because creating those videos was just a harder pull, versus educational creators, especially those that use key visuals, like much more sustainable careers, much more sustainability in views, and the businesses they started around it. So I just thought that was a fascinating side note on this route as well. So key visuals, we can talk about that more in the Q&A, but that's just a big one in terms of understanding, is this a good idea? And if it is it good enough to make a video around? Boom. And if you have a lot of key visuals, probably better for longer form. If you have a few, better for short form. If you have none, probably better for text or not at all. Yasim, the question you had, which color is entertainers? Red. Green is educators. And then Elisa said, so should be learning more EDU content. Should we be leaning more towards EDU content or entertainment? Again, sustainability wise, educational content. And we'll talk about how just about any content can be like educational. Like, as a answer to your question here, there's a YouTuber on our email list who messaged me back one day, and he was like, hey, I'm creating this video about like, I like tested like the healthiest food at different like fast food restaurants. He went to a McDonald's, a Taco Bell, etc. And it was very entertainment based. Like, it was just like him like eating at these different places. And I was like, dude, you're missing such a big opportunity to really think about like the educational component of like nutrition and health, and like what does that look like when it comes to casual dining, fast food dining, or in-home dining. So a lot of those things that I think, to your question, Elise said, like, if you are doing entertainment content like that, you should still have an educational component, and it gives that much more for people to want to share and to watch and to come back and to give you longevity. And then Sandy says, LinkedIn posts and articles have visuals. How do you differentiate? Is there more? Is it more about is it more about there being a story? So Sandy, yes, there are visuals. Like with a lot of LinkedIn and X posts, you'll notice that a lot of text-based only posts still work very well. So it's really about, can you craft these other things around it, especially when we talk about the intro here in the next tip after this one. But it's a great question. But it kind of is, do you have other key visuals? And you have more of a hook to build around it. So I'll share that here momentarily. Okay, but moving on. The next tip is study your suggested follows. So you may think you know your niche, but trust me, having worked at Instagram, like Instagram knows it for a fact. And I always talk with new and aspiring creators, a lot of them who are doing this as a side hustle, many of them doing this as a main hustle, many of them who are in transition. And they all have an Instagram account, and they have an idea of what their niche is, but here's a little known way to figure that out exactly based on what other accounts Instagram groups your account with, which may or may not surprise you. So the tactic here is this. So you want to go to your friend's account, or you want to create a second Instagram account that's not your own. Like, that's key. And again, this is like a workaround hack that most people don't do. The platform is not intended for this, but trust me, this will kind of like open your eyes, and it's like Neo seeing the Matrix, right? So if you have a second account, or just create a dummy account for this purpose, go ahead and search for your main Instagram account and follow yourself. Or if you're already following yourself, or you're like logging in from a friend's account, just unfollow yourself and then follow yourself again. And here's why. Right when you click the follow button, you'll see a tray of suggested accounts that pop up. Most people just miss this, by the way. They just, like, how many times you guys press follow and then you just move on? Like, very people like actually pay attention to the suggested follows anymore. But what's really interesting about this is all those suggested follows, and you can swipe and see more and see more and see more. that is what Instagram is clustering you with based on what your audience has the most overlap with. So for myself, I have a ton of overlap if you have a Venn diagram with like, you know, Eric or Gary Vaynerchuk, which makes a ton of sense. And then you want to go to their profiles, these suggested follows, and study their hits and misses and look at what you'll be able to adapt, and we'll talk about what to do with it. But just having this information and what you're being clustered with is really powerful because of two things. One, if you feel like, okay, like myself, like I feel like my content, Gary V's content, there's like overlap there, then studying his hits and misses and studying the other creators on my suggested follows is really powerful for me to understand what ideas and what formats, more importantly, can take off on my Instagram. But more importantly, if you feel like you see your suggested follows and you're like, what the heck? Like none of these suggested accounts are in my perceived niche. That's a wake-up call. That means either you're not actually serving your niche is different than you think, or it's evolving and you have to like think about what these other people are doing to, you know, get the hits and the views on their videos, whereas yours are not. So a lot of things that I think people miss, but are so important, can come into play when it comes to this. So study your suggested follows, and yeah, so like a ton of stuff there. And then as you can see like me just keeping scrolling, you keep going. And I'm curious if you follow like today, like I bet like it's adapted even more. So like I try to do this every time our profile hits like another 10 to 25,000. Like right now, I took this screenshot when we were out, it's like 60, 70,000, but now we're at 110 or so. So I bet if you go now, it'll actually like be different. And so doing that on your account, I think will really be really powerful. And by the way, if you ever want another, like I see a lot of like the screenshots from this, if you ever want the screenshots from this or other viral video ideas, I created this free YouTube hack pack, I call, like thousands of creators have already gotten this for free. It includes like everything from this session, as well as like a bunch of intro templates that you could use to like build around your key visuals, like viral video ideas that like work for any niche based on like studying a lot of these suggested follows, like a confident on camera class, like basically all the stuff that I'm like, these are like the most important things to grow on YouTube. I'm like, you know, like I want to like be able to give it to you for free. So if you want to go to ythackpack.com, you could get a lot of these, or in addition to screenshotting these slides if you want, but there's even more in there. Okay, so next tip. I call this the intro rule. And what I mean by this is that like think intro as you think idea. So now like we're getting into like this, yeah, I guess Adolfo makes a good point. Like for LinkedIn, can you do this? Like people have also looked at these account features. Yes, but that is more from like a viewer perspective, where it's like the viewer has like gone and seen these different profiles, and there may be other reasons why they're looking at their profiles. Like a lot of times, like on LinkedIn, people will look at your profile because they're recruiting, right? And so if you don't have like, versus Instagram is more primarily a content platform, so the suggested follows will help you understand like, is your content reaching those people? Versus on your LinkedIn, there's a lot of other reasons why people may view your profile next to another profile, right? They may view like a person who gave a recommendation, and like that person is always like listed next to the people who may see your profile also see this person. But it may be because like they just saw your profile, clicked on the person who recommended you, wanted to learn more about that person, and that actually won't tell you as much about your niche as studying your suggested follows with how Instagram's algorithm is clustering you with others. So good question, but there's more nuance to it that I'd say. And yeah, there's the link to the hack pack. Thank you for putting it up there. Okay, so intro rule. Think intro as you think idea. And what do I mean by that? I think when I love like acronyms, I love like frameworks. So think about your intros, whether it's for short form or long form, as you got to make it rainy. RAINY. Make it rainy. Think about that when it comes to intros. And what I mean by that is in your intro, and I'll give two examples of this, are you mentioning, teasing, talking about, at least highlighting the result of what you'll get if you watch this video in some way? And again, I'll show you an example. A, are you addressing the objection that is either consciously or subconsciously in your viewer's mind? And this is what I call like the response to everyone's BS detectors. Like a lot of people will say that viewers nowadays are like, oh, like they'll say viewers are not as sharp. No. I think viewers are more sophisticated today because they have more options than ever. And they'll immediately call BS on something that you'll say where it's like, in this video, I want to give you like 5 dieting tips or whatever. And they're like, that doesn't work. You know, they're immediately like in their mind, they have an objection, right? And you need to address it. So I'll show you a few examples of that. You need to like basically like silence the objection, or at least say like, no, don't worry. This isn't that kind of video. Instant, like the intros that I find and we've seen data-wise are best on long form are 45 seconds or less. We'll talk about how that changes for short form. And then N is why now? Like you have to answer that question. Like, why is this video, this intro, why is this information important now? Like, why is it timely? And there's certain ways to do that. And then why you? Like, why are you the person to deliver this information? And this is not to say that you have to hit all of these things at all times, but the more of these 5 things, the more of the Rainy framework that you hit on your intro, the more likely your retention will be higher, and the more likely you'll get views, distribution, a lot of, like we've seen this firsthand with our intro. So let me share 2 examples of scripted videos and unscripted videos, because I think that kind of covers the gamut of folks on this call. Like you may do scripted videos, which is like explainer videos, talking head, video essays where like every word or there's a lot of bullet points that are scripted ahead of time. You know what you want to say before you turn the camera on. Or a lot of folks on this call may also be unscripted, right? And that may be like an interview. You can't control what they say. On the street content, like with a microphone, vlog. You may plan the day, but you don't know what's going to happen. So I want to give I want to show you how to implement Rainy for both of these. Okay. So first, let's dive into the scripted world. This is a video I put out that has 890,000 views. And it's actually funny because I love using this example because you'll realize I use some of these tricks in this presentation too to open it. And these like skills and these frameworks are transferable with any piece of content you're working on: newsletter, presentation, video, post. So I'm going to play the intro for this. You'll notice some of the tactics that I use, and then I'm going to break it down by the RAINY so you guys can see it. Okay.
The rules of how to grow a YouTube channel have completely changed this year. And I would know, I used to work at YouTube for 5 years, then worked at Instagram for 3 years, and then I started this channel. And I want to share 7 unconventional tips that led me to get millions of views per day. And it's not the obvious stuff that everyone's talking about. It's stuff I don't think people have heard before.
You're very good at what you do.
Boom. Okay. So what did I do in this intro, and how did I make sure we applied the Rainy framework? Okay, so this is a scripted video. I knew what I was going to say, and that's where this is really powerful, because you could basically write the video and just make sure that you're checking the different boxes, right? So R, what's the R of this video? Plain and simple, is like, in this video, you're going to learn tips to grow on YouTube, right? And many times the title of your video should satisfy this as well. So R, tips to grow on YouTube. A, what's the objection? The same thing with this presentation that I open with. No, this is not the advice that you've heard before. Like, I know how many YouTube educators, YouTube pieces of content are out there. And that's why I always think about, like, what am I going to put in my presentation? What am I going to put in my video? And how can I address that objection in the intro? Because you have to deliver on it. Instant, this was about 43 seconds. N, why now? At this point, shorts on YouTube were becoming a bigger deal. It was changing how people grew. So I talked about, like, you know, why that's a big deal and what that means for the algorithm changes, because, you know, the advice of like, you know, even 6 months before this were already getting outdated. And the why you, I worked at YouTube, right? And this is not to say like you have to work at an institution or be associated with one to make a video about a certain topic. Like, I'll give you this example from a great creator named Shervin Shares. And he made this video called "I Wore Barefoot Running Shoes for 1,000 Days. Here's what I think," or something along those lines. Like, he's not a podiatrist, he's not a shoe doctor, but his experience, I call this the guinea pig method. his experience of going through those 1,000 days of wearing barefoot running shoes answered the why you in such a powerful way that, you know, it made me want to watch that video. So guinea pig method is kind of like putting yourself, like, no pun intended, in the shoes to be able to answer that question. But of course, like, it's a hard one, because like, if you don't think about the why you, like, that's what made Shervin in that example different than all the other shoe review people who didn't spend the time or did that. Tim asks a great question. Should it be in a specific order? No, it does not have to be in a specific order, right? You just want it. And again, you don't have to hit all of them. Like you want to be able to like think about what like is the most powerful way to construct it. It's the way I think about it. They're like puzzle pieces, and then you use them to write the script. Like, you don't want to be so formulaic that it's like, today you're going to learn tips on YouTube. No, it's not the advice you've heard before. And I'm doing this because the way to grow on YouTube has changed. And you should listen to me because I worked at YouTube. Like, you still have to have some like rhyme and reason on it. Kim asks, how can we find this exact video on YouTube? The video is called like ex-YouTube employee explains how to grow on YouTube. So something like that. Or like exposes how to grow on YouTube. It's like the one with 880,000 views. Yasim asks, if you want to build a new channel first time, recommend to grow with shorts. Heard that goes against you as YouTube wants people to watch long form. Okay, this is a great question, and this is outdated information. No, like back in the day, and back in the day, I mean 2-3 years ago, shorts and long form, their recommendations against each other weren't as cohesive as they are today. And so many people will ask the same question, that they're like, wait, should I start with shorts if I ultimately want to go long form? Because let's be honest, like long form is a much better way to build a business. And I started this way as well. We started with shorts, and we started going more towards long form and moving that over. Like there's a balance to it that we could talk about more. But no, like you don't have to. Like the shorts can help raise the floor of long form. You just have to make sure that they're related content. So it definitely helps. Let me see. Carol asked, how could the Rainy framework work for LinkedIn? Right now, it's okay. So same thing. It's more short form, right? And with short form video, the caveat to all of this, and like the Rainy framework, like, you know, it takes time to get through. So sometimes you won't have as much to get through when you have that. But if you look at this viral intro templates that I have in the hack pack, I actually have like cookie cutter scripts that are like the contrarian hook, the challenge hook, the spectacle hook. So for short form, my nuance that I was going to give, but you kind of beat me to the punch, so I want to answer your question, is you want to be a bit more precise, which means you won't have all the time in the world to do the Rainy framework. And some of those cookie cutter ones from that viral intro templates could help with that. But at that point, it's just as getting through as much of the Rainy framework as you can, and having a good first frame. Like, are you visually setting up as much as you can? Where, like, for my creator versus celebrity short, the one I was talking about where it got 40 million views, and we've done probably 20 of those shorts in that format, and all of them have done really, really well. And the reason why that did well is because, like, the first frame, the intro, the hook, is very visual, versus I previously had a more verbal hook for that short, which was, hey guys, we're in Hollywood today and we're seeing who's more famous, celebrities or creators. Today we have Logan Paul versus Tom Hanks. And I would ask people, but then I was like, wait, let me go print it out, have like a literal piece of paper with a microphone, people can see it visually. And then Yasim says, didn't get what you suggest, start with short form, which is easier. I'm delaying a YouTube channel as it takes long time for video editing for long. Yes, short answer, start with short form, make sure it's in the same niche as your long form, and continue to go from there. Like typically, like if you want to get into the business side of it, like we started with short form, started getting brand deals on short form, ended up getting more money, started diversifying our business with consulting gigs as well. And then I was able to use that money to hire editors and really make the long form videos that I wanted. And now we're much more of a long form channel because our videos take it's a huge production, like traveling, doing remote interviews, remote behind the scenes. So you seem like, yes, start with short form, make sure it's in a related niche. So it's like, you don't want to get followers and views for the sake of getting followers and views. You want to make sure that when YouTube does recommend your long form, when you post it to that same audience watching your shorts, there's a momentum building effect. Okay. Let me continue going through. I want to be mindful of time. Okay. So what if you can't script, especially for interviews, which I know a lot of folks do here as well. Let me talk about Unscripted. Here's one of our most successful intros with Liza Koshy.
I've been reading a lot of the comments on your videos, Liza, and a lot of them talk about...
Where you at? Hello?
We'll talk about that.
Liza Koshy quit YouTube? The biggest creators on the platform disappears.
Although I was at like my peak in terms of numbers, in terms of eyes and partnerships.
Liza Koshy, everybody. Liza Koshy. The fastest growing YouTuber ever.
I needed me. I missed me. And I refused to be ignored.
Who is ignoring you? Who is ignoring Liza Koshy?
You know?
You're very good at what you do.
Okay, so in that intro, and yeah, Alexis, you're right. I should probably leave all the Q&A. I want to get to you guys while it's contextually relevant, but let me continue to go through the presentation, and I'll make sure to get to like as many of the Q&A then. Okay, so this intro, like how is it rainy? Well, Liza Koshy, one of the biggest YouTube stars, you know, in this video, we were giving the result of why did she leave? You know, like why did one of the biggest YouTubers in the world leave? The objection that most people have is like, there's no way she's talking about it. She doesn't actually address it. Boom, right there in the video, she addresses it. She makes a joke about it. Like, it's like, oh, wait, we're actually going to get an answer to this question that a lot of people have. This intro was about 34 seconds. Why now? At that point, that was one of the first times that she had done a close to hour-long interview about it and totally opened up. So it was like, why now? It's like first time she was publicly opening up about it. And why you? I wanted to share this example because it's like a different like positioning of like why me in that scenario, because that has very little to do with my background at YouTube. In that scenario, I included questions of me pushing back and being like, okay, I'm going to ask the tough questions, the right questions, the questions that people want the answers to, which is like, wait, who's ignoring you? And pushing back. So that answered like, you know, a lot of that. And this video has, or this intro specific, this video has over 1.8 million views now, close to 1.9. And the retention is over 72% on the intro, specifically on the intro. And so that is like, especially when a video gets that widely distributed, is relatively unheard of. So I'd say if it's hard to imagine the idea, if it's hard to imagine the intro, that's a pretty good sign that you need to rethink and reimagine the idea, right? So that's all like, I think coming up with better ideas and vetting them, testing them, key visual test, intro test, etc. are super important. The next thing is to adapt outliers. And Alexis, maybe let me know a time check. I know we started maybe a few moments after, but let me know how much time I have left here. I put in buffer time in afterwards, but I want to be mindful of the run of show and the other speakers as well.
Yeah, you're our closing keynote.
Oh, great.
We are kind of wrapping up around the top of the hour, but I want you to prioritize your slides. So please like keep going. And then if we have time for Q&A, we can address those questions at the end.
Cool. Well,
Thank you.
Buffer time afterwards. And so I want to get to as many of your questions as possible, but let's keep going through the slides here. So a lot of people say like, it's too late, it's too crowded to make a career as a creator. But if there's one thing that I realized during my time working at YouTube and Instagram is that, yeah, maybe we don't have the first mover advantage anymore, you know, like folks in 2012, but every single one of us has the second mover advantage. And the reason why is because of the sheer amount of data that is now on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, etc., for us to understand what are good ideas and what are specific outlier ideas, which are ideas that have outperformed for a channel's respective audience. So pop quiz, what do these videos have in common? If I had to ask you guys, besides the topic, of course, like what do you think these three videos have in common? Maybe throw them in the chat. Okay, we got some people typing. Okay, cold ice. Yes, yeah, kind of. Cassandra's typing. And we got three other typing. Snow, cold, visuals, bad. Okay, it's kind of dancing around the same. Survival, Linda. Yep. Okay, so I kind of gave the answer in the opening of this tip. These are all outliers. That's what they have in common. Yes, their topics are similar. But what's interesting is that if you look at the 41 million views on this video compared to the 982,000 subscribers, like that is an order of magnitude above what that channel typically gets or the audience that they typically reach. Same with the other channel, Discover with Rui Sinet, like, 49 million compared to the 1.4 million. And you have to also think about it, like these videos help raise the subscriber count of these channels. So when they came out, the discrepancy, the difference between the subscriber count or the existing audience and the normal audience they reach versus the video was even greater, meaning these were even bigger outliers. And why this is so powerful is because this is the second mover advantage in practice. This is essentially like telling you which ideas have taken off on the platform from smaller creators when they were starting out. And I know I shared like examples of creators who have close to 1 million subscribers, but honestly, outliers happen on the platform all the time. And if you, in that hack pack, I included 100 different outlier examples. And they come from creators like with 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers. And sometimes those videos get 500 to 600,000 views. And if you think about that, that's such a clear signal, and a signal that folks didn't even have 10 years ago in terms of, something about that video, whether it's title, topic, packaging, its intro, has done so well for a channel that's so small that you should definitely study and adapt it. And we'll talk about how to adapt it, but first I want to talk about how to find it. So here's a very tactical and manual way to find outliers. So if you open up your mobile app, your YouTube mobile app, you could search 1 to 3 words related to your idea. In fact, if you're watching this on your desktop, you want to do this on your phone, you can do this right now. And basically what I want to walk you through here is how to like turn off the algorithm for a second, because folks don't realize how well the algorithm like adapts to your needs and to your search history. So right now you go, or whenever you want, you can search 1 to 3 words related to your idea or niche. Then hit the 3 dots icon on mobile and sort by the following 3 things: view count, anytime, and then video. Normally there'll be different things toggled. Then watch the top videos, like scroll through. And this is where you have to do like a little bit of hunting and pecking. Look at the videos and then click on the subscriber count of the channel and be like, okay, is there a 5x difference between the video that I'm seeing fed to me, where I've already filtered by all-time views, and the subscriber count of the account that posted it? And when you start to see the ones that are outliers, like, but believe me, your mind will start to change. And as you create a list of this stuff, and you do this for different keywords, different topics, your idea quality will start to go through the roof. Again, second mover advantage. So few people are thinking about this. And it's like such a powerful thing that we do with a ton of videos. Now, I wanted to give a tool as well. Like that's a manual way to go about it. There's a tool that I use a lot called Spotter Studio that allows you to also take outliers and filter by, okay, like imagine if you could like not only look up outliers, but like have a tool that said, hey, actually give me like all the outliers are 10x bigger than the channel's audience. Oh, give me the outliers that my audience watched and are 10x. Like there's so many cool things that you could do with this tool. And if you look here, like it lets you like toggle like by who you're following or outlier index. You can make it like 10, you can make it 15, you can make it 2. And then it goes in and then you literally select ideas and then hit the brainstorm button. And then what's really cool is that it immediately gives you ideas. Like look at this one. This is based on my channel. Like I wouldn't make a video about 3D printing chairs. Like I'm just sharing this as an example. But immediately it goes into there and it like says like X YouTube employee tries 3D printing a $1,000 or $2,000 chair. And actually, Jocelyn, I wanted to give everyone the tool for free. So if you guys want, here's like that tool for free for 2 weeks for you guys to try out. That one right there, I think gives like a more limited. So if you want, like the link right here will help you guys like basically find outliers like that on steroids. And what I find really powerful about this is that, you know, especially for like like interview and like, you know, like idea content. And no problem. I tried actually for this presentation, like reach out to like a lot of the partners and tools that I work with. I'm like, let me give you something special for a lot of the folks at the Creator Path Summit. So hopefully you guys could really benefit from this, because I found this to be a game changer. But what's really cool about this is that you can start to see a macro look at outliers across like different niches, and then hitting that brainstorm button just allows like you to have this creative thought partner that I think is like really unique, that a lot of other tools or a lot of folks like don't have a lot. So so if you check that out, like I think like it'll be another tool that unlock this tip of how to adapt outliers and give you this idea of like, okay, yeah, second mover advantage. How do I implement that? How do I find ideas that are already working and then adapt it for your niche and put your own spin on it? Which is like kind of like the remix culture of the internet. Yeah, shout out to the quick jumping in and sharing links with the screenshots. Like that is a game changer. Let me know if you guys all have this one, but it sounds like the link is there. So let me continue going. Of course, Kim, thank you guys. Okay, so continuing on, Reddit is like such a powerful way to research for social media. And I find people often think about it as a separate thing entirely. But I will say this, like I remember when I was at Instagram and we were working with BuzzFeed, and like we were talking about them about like, how do you guys like, Damien, how does it compare to vidIQ or TubeBuddy? Like they have like a specific like outlier tool and ton of like brainstorming and idea like tools, where like vidIQ and TubeBuddy are like more post-production analytics. So like Spotter, like in the theme of like what we're talking about here, is really good for like ideation and specifically outliers. And they also have this thumbnail generator tool where you could type in an idea and it gives you like a thumbnail around it. So a lot of times we use it for concepting. So it's really powerful in that regard. Whereas I find like a lot of other tools don't always have that. Okay, so anyways, using Reddit to research. I remember being at being at BuzzFeed and talking to them about how they find ideas, because they churn them out, right? Especially during their heyday. And they said this quote I'll never forget. They said, what shows up on Reddit on Monday ends up making it to our pages on BuzzFeed on Tuesday, and then ends up being picked up by social media on Wednesday, and then ends up on Facebook next month. Like their words, not mine, but it's true. Like I think Reddit has so much of that ethos of being the front page of the internet, but a lot of people don't use that in a way that allows them to find better ideas for social media. So what do you do? How do you leverage that? So compile a list of Reddit pages based on your top voted on topics. And what I mean by that is, I think a lot of times people question like, what should I talk about on social? What are the niches that people most care about? And there's so many great polling tools now, whether it's on LinkedIn, on your Instagram stories, on you know, like who do you go into exact? I'll show you how to search it here in a second, Yassine. But essentially, like there's so many like things that you could talk about. Poll your audience, get a sense of the topics, then go into Reddit. Literally go to the top search bar, type in, you know, let's say you have a channel about marketing advice, type in marketing advice. That's actually a lot of the content that I used to make. And you'll find all these subreddits. You can also find LinkedIn pages, Instagram pages. The point here is find a group of people who are already curating content related to your niche, right? That is the most powerful thing. And then like this one, like has like 166,000 members in it. And if you go to it, here's the key. Go to that subreddit or subreddits, which are just the forums, and toggle by top. So you don't want to see like just trending or whatever. You want to see the top most voted on posts, and then toggle by all time. And what this will show is the best posts from the span of that subreddit's lifespan. And like in this example, you see one of the top rated posts, like the power of like packaging, right? Like look at this angel hair pasta and how much more compelling that is than whatever pasta is on the right and left. So thinking about it like that, and like immediately this gives you a what? This gives you a key visual. And what's so powerful about bringing this presentation together, Reddit helps you find key visuals. If you have enough of them, you'll be able to string together different posts or long form videos in a way that people who are just like kind of twiddling their thumbs and waiting for inspiration to hit will not have that edge or that life cycle or that process and that pipeline like you will. Like and then what I really like to do is like, okay, so you go to the subreddit for the first time, you do this, toggle by all-time top, right? Then go back to Reddit every week or every month, depends on the activity of the subreddit. Then toggle it by top and then toggle it by this week. And you'll continue to see other key visuals like this, like sort by top and weekly, right? It's like such a powerful thing that you are being fed key visuals that are being vetted and upvoted by people in your community. So, and in this case, is like a hilarious like marketing ad from the city of Los Angeles, like looking for a graphic designer. So they put out the world's crappiest graphic design, which honestly was like super interesting because you never think you'd see that on an ad, let alone from a government organization. So props to them. This like brought in a lot of leads. Okay, so yeah, connecting it together, Reddit is a great way to find key visuals. Kind of moving along here. So clipping is such an underrated way to grow your channel, especially if you're already putting the work into making long form. Yeah, thank you, Jordan, for joining us from Australia. Yassine, this is such, thank you, Yassine. I appreciate it. I'm so glad to hear this stuff is helpful. Thank you, Ingrid. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. Which, again, trying to make it as tactical as possible. All right, 2 more tips here, and then we'll open it up to more Q&A. I know you guys are asking questions, and great ones, so I want to get to as many of them. All right, clipping. There's 3 ways to think about clipping your content. Again, this is getting into the more like 201, 301, more advanced stuff. So a lot of people do this thing called short to long, which is they take a short form clip of a long form video, like this is a perfect example, where I took a clip of the Liza Koshy video, and then we said, like, for more, like, watch the long form. It's really powerful. I'm actually curious how many people have ever heard of like look at the thing I outlined in the green rectangle. That is a tool that launched about a year ago now. How many of you guys are aware that on YouTube you could literally deep link a short to a long form video, so people could click that, it opens up, they watch the long form video, and this is what I'm calling short to long. Like, you go from short form to long form pretty easily. But what people don't realize is that there's another method here called the flood method. And actually, like, Mr. Beast uses this a lot on his videos, which is you can take a lot of your shorts, and it's a bit manual, but you could update that link, that deep link within all of them in YouTube to flood one video. And all of a sudden, that one long form video will get a surge of traffic. Again, and this is where I forget who asked the question, but now we're like bringing it all together, where it's like, how do you go from short form to long form? Like, this is how you do it. And this is one of the ways you do it. So, like, thinking about, okay, if I have enough shorts, and the key caveat, the asterisk, the thing I said earlier is, are they related to each other within your niche? If they're not, this flood method is going to bring irrelevant traffic, right? So if I kind of know about it, but I don't know how to do it. Leslie, literally, you could go into the short, and there's an option to select the link. And you could, like, literally put a link for another long form to flood it, the related long form to go from short to long, or literally you could go from short to short. So let's say you don't have long form videos yet, but you have a related series of shorts, go from short to short, right? And so you get flood. Now, here's the elephant in the room with this tip. And I will say I experienced this firsthand. So I've put up interviews where it was so much work to put the long form interview out there. And, like, before I could even blink my eyes, like within a day, 2 days, people started clipping my videos. And I started to see that those videos started to get 15 million views, like 600, 700,000 views, 1 million, 2 million. And I was like, oh my God, I'm being clipped by other people. And conventional wisdom tells you that this is good in aggregate. And it is, to some extent. You know, people are clipping your video, they're bringing they're bringing traffic your way. But think about all the drop off that exists because channels cannot deep link to your long form video. YouTube only allows you to take a short and link it to another video on your channel. So you cannot flood another video on another channel. You cannot go from short to long to another long form on another channel. You can only go within your channel. Yassine says, is the long form video made out of the shorts or a different one? In this case, it's clipped. So it's made out of, this is a short to long. This is a short form clip from a long form. But the question is like, how do you do it fast enough that you don't get clipped, or that, you know, let's say you're not getting clipped. How can you take advantage of this if you're trying to grow like your long form as well? And so this is another free tool I want to give you guys. I use this tool called Opus Clip. I've been working with them for over a year. I actually give a lot of feedback on their product. And it's amazing in that it takes your long form clips, finds the most relevant moments, edits it together for you, gives you virality scores, gives you subtitles and captions and perspective titles that you could choose, and just be able to like clip it before other people clip you. And they also have like search where you could go through all of your clips. Like, it's been a game changer, especially if you do compilation content or you have a bigger catalog. And so I want to give this to you guys for free. I think this code gives you guys like a month free of credits, which is way more than like, I think normally you have to pay and get some kind of like discount, but like this gives you guys all free credits to try it. I think the link is here. Let me know if this one works. I asked for a special like friends and family code for you guys. Let me know if that link works. By clicking on it. But again, you could put it literally, it's as easy as taking your long form link, putting it in Opus, and then it immediately like is able to clip it. And then the awesome thing is with this is like you get discretion of like, okay, I want to use this clip, not that clip. There's even like ways to like export it to Premiere Pro and edit the final 5 to 10%, which we always like to make it more custom. So again, like another powerful tool and a powerful tactic that a lot of people don't realize. So Opus is like, has been a game changer for this tactic to kind of bring it in practice. So, okay. So that one is clipping. Let me know if everyone has that. And then the last tip is to find content ideas that solve popular problems. So here's my philosophy. And I think there's a lot of folks who are entrepreneurs and creators on this call. So I think this will resonate, hopefully. In the grand scheme of things, entrepreneurs make products to solve problems. We as creators make content that can solve problems. And not enough people think about this, especially with the fact that YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine. Obviously, they're owned by Google, but people don't think about that. Empirically, what it means is that, Kessler asked, how does this prevent them from clipping your videos? Just going back one point. It doesn't, but it allows you to do it faster and allows you to do it more comprehensively to be able to capture those views in the cross traffic and also be able to monetize those videos because shorts are monetized. So anyways, back to this. Entrepreneurs make products to solve problems. Creators make content to solve problems. YouTube is the world's second biggest search engine. Think about how many people. I think the stat is like something like 6 billion queries and everything per day are on YouTube. People searching for questions or answers to questions. People looking for advice, people looking for struggles or problems they have, looking for some kind of video to help answer that. And as a new creator, this is one of the most powerful ways to find a new audience. And I want to help you guys figure out like how do you actually understand what the most people are searching for. So here's a few methods. The first one I call the incognito mode method. Go to your browser, like on Chrome, it's called incognito mode. You could find it with the 3 buttons on your top right, or I think now they call it guest browse. Anyway, same thing. Go in there and then be able to like see, okay, go to YouTube and start typing in the video idea, literally the title that you want to make, right? So how to cook, like let's say your cooking channel, and notice what the autofill is. What the autofill is on incognito mode is so powerful because it is not biased by your past search history. YouTube is so good that, again, these tactics I'm giving you are workarounds and ways to turn off these things that don't give you the most macro and aggregate view of what the most people are searching for you to make content around it. So again, like incognito mode method. Bonus tip is on Google, if you search for like your title, like you'll also see that people also ask, this is gold. This is gold. This is like something else that could help you guys make content around people, what people actually want, what problems people are having, and what is the most popular, right? So look for that. And all of this entire talk is helping unlock like that, oh my God, I'm hitting a wall. I'm hitting writer's block. No, like there's so many process-driven ways and data-driven ways to come up with ideas. And I'm not saying that you should like be following these blindly, but you should have as many ways to find ideas and then see what's resonating the most with you and your expertise to be able to fulfill and deliver on these things. Because if you find a topic or a question and you're like, I don't really know the answer, I can't speak to that, then it's not a good fit. But between all these outliers, Reddit, the intro, the key napkin test, or the key visual test, like all these, Quora is another one to find popular problems. I love this. I love using Quora because just like Reddit, I'll go in, I'll toggle by all time or I'll toggle by month and then top, depending on when the last time I visited Quora to look up my niche. And I'll just look at the most popular questions related to that topic. So powerful and so clarifying in terms of like, what are the next videos that we want to make? And here's like a step-by-step. Type in your topic, sort by question, sort by all time, make a list, make your content, repeat. So many like ideas that could come from this and help you guys solve popular problems. So anyways, like that is like, I think we went overtime here, but hopefully that was valuable. If you guys ever want to reach me, like don't hesitate to reach out, hi@youshaei.com. These are my socials, Instagram DM, like if you want to follow me on Instagram, like I always love continuing the conversation from these conferences and events. And then there's the link for the hack pack again. But thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Circle. Thank you guys for having me. This has been a pleasure.
No, thank you so much. This was such a deep and technical workshop, and I think you blew everyone's minds in the chat. Do you have just a few minutes for some questions?
Oh, for you guys. Yeah, of course.
Okay, amazing. Let me pull these up and we can spotlight a few questions as well. I loved this one from Leslie. Okay, so what do you think about the advice to just start on YouTube and learn as you go? I've been sitting on the sidelines planning on doing my YouTube channel, but I'm frozen by not being ready. And I feel like this applies to honestly whatever type of content someone's wanting to create. So what's your advice and insight here?
Okay, so all right, what do you think about that way to just start on YouTube and learn as you go? Yeah, all right. So there's definitely a balance of too much time like planning. So like I would say like by the time like here's something else that I think about a lot where there's only so much data you could have pre-production, and sometimes you have to have more information once you post. So the idea with this is, can you pre-vet your ideas? And I think somebody asked a great question during the chat, which was, okay, I'm starting more on shorts and long form takes a long time. It does. So if you know that and you find a few good ideas and good key visuals for long form, maybe save them and test out more on short form and more on text-based posts first. Try to get more feedback there and then get that permission to go a bit longer. So that's what we did for about the first year and a half. We were pretty exclusively on short form, did a few long form videos here and there, and then we saw it was hitting, and then we tried different formats and we saw those were working, and then we immediately moved to long form, or slowly moved to long form after that. So Get started, don't plan too much, but definitely take a lot of the things that we talked about into account to help clarify what you're going to do with your time, because you want to speed up that feedback loop. Yeah.
Speaking of long form, you are such a great interviewer, and that's a big part of your brand. How do you, Jordan asked, how do you approach people for interviews, especially when you're just starting out and they might have more clout than you?
Yeah, that is like such a good question, Jordan. My biggest piece of advice, and I think the reason why we've been able to get big names on, is that I'm very mindful of promotion cycles. So people want to talk at a certain point when they have something to talk about. And okay, I'll give you guys this tip. So this is going to be I have a whole like podcasting and interview like presentation masterclass that I want to make, but this is like, I get this question so often. You would not believe, Jordan, how many Google alerts that I have on guests that I've had on the show or that I want on the show, because I'm trying to understand, like, wait, okay, they just signed a movie deal for a movie that comes out in 2 years. Okay. Penguin Random House just signed them to do a book that comes out in a year and a half. Okay. And I'm keeping tabs on all of these things, right? So then when the time comes and they're in promotion mode, that's when you're most likely to say, that's when they're more likely to say yes. And then there's the other part of it, which is like, there are so many stakeholders and like that I could give another hour-long conversation about like the people, like the conversations you have with the people around the people you're trying to interview and all that. But the most tactical and straightforward tip I could give to a Q&A, a part of this is set Google alerts on the people you want to interview, be mindful of their promotion schedule. And I think you'll increase your likelihood to say yes. And then the other thing I'd say is all it really takes is a few examples of people seeing your work and knowing, don't phone it in with, and I know you never would, because you're here and you're looking for the edge that you could get. But when I did my first interview, this is crazy, but I flew to Puerto Rico to do it, and to do it in person. And I spent more than I was comfortable with at the time, but I had saved up savings to go from corporate to creator. And I knew that if I do that well, in addition to all the prep, that becomes a mini case study that I then send to other, creators and people I want to interview, that I'm like, hey, I'll ask the thoughtful and research questions. We'll make an amazing video, and you'll get a lot of great promotional material out of it. In addition to us getting into all of the topics that people want to hear about. So I could talk more about that. But yeah, so that's just a little bit of a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. I love the competitive edge of you actually flying to the individual. I do think even in some of the pitches that we've done at Circle, when you mention we'll go to you, we'll film with you in your house, or we'll rent a studio, people automatically associate a higher value to the experience as well than just doing a digital interview. Not that those aren't a great place to start, right?
Yes.
Kind of that MVP, but when you're wanting to differentiate and you're wanting to create a higher quality experience for a guest, I love this point of view. Okay.
You could
go ahead.
Yeah. Remote and all those interviews. I know a lot of people can't travel, so it's harder. So but like you said, Alexis.
Yeah. Okay. Last question before we wrap for the day. And I have a few more things to share after we usher Jon off and thank him for being here, is around AI. How do you feel about AI's role in the video creation process?
I think that there's a lot of good about it. And obviously there's a lot of things that you could say about AI and people's jobs being replaced and all that. There's definitely two sides to it. Maybe I'm a glass half full, optimist guy, but I think that to me, AI right now helps solve what I call the rough draft problem. And what I mean by that is I think there's nothing more frustrating than being a creative and looking at a blank screen, which is why I try to think about how can I give you as many tools to come up with ideas. And I think AI is a great rough draft partner where you can put in a prompt, you can put in an idea, and you can see what it gives you. And it's rare that those things are the things that you go to market with, but they can help a lot with thumbnail ideation, with Spotter, with ideas and outliers, and just give you access to information that would be hard to, I shared the free way to do it with the outlier tips, but that's very manual. The fact that Spotter helps you go through that with filters and look up 5x, 10x outliers, or the fact that Opus, these are all AI powered tools, lets you finds all the best moments based on facial expression, based on voice, semantics, etc. And it clips it for you. So I think that there's a lot of potential to help us move faster and put out even better quality content, as well as long as you're using AI as a kind of a partner or a tool, not a replacement.
Yeah. Yeah. It's an assistant. It's a tool. It's not something that's fully replacing you. And I love that perspective. I love your optimism. And I'm in the same camp as well. Jon, this was amazing. Our people are already in the chat being this is a rewatch. This is a rewatch, pause, do the work, and then press play. So thank you so much for your thoughtful and deep workshop today. This was a great way to end the summit. And if you aren't already, please go follow Jon's work. Fantastic interviewer, and love what you're doing and how you're showing so much insight into the behind the scenes of some of the top creators' businesses.
Thank you, Alexis. And thank you so much for creating this space. And it's not easy to host all of this, all the moving parts. And thank you for having me. Thank you for everyone for being so active in the chat. I love seeing this. DM me, respond to the emails on our hack pack, anything I could do to help. I'm here. I've been in your shoes.
Amazing. Thank you, Jon. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, guys. Take care.